going on, guys? So today we're back with another Pokemon Masters video, and today we actually have some interesting little news here. So we do have a few sync pairs that have been data mined, and basically they are completely already built out. They have trainer, Pokemon, all their moves, sync moves, all that stuff has at least been found in the data so we can actually take a look at them. Now, the way that we're going to display this information today is coming straight from GamePress. If you're not familiar with GamePress's website, I highly encourage you to check them out. They are huge in terms of a lot of the games that I play, whether it's Pokemon Go, Dragon Ball Legends, or even now Pokemon Masters. Plus, they have a ton of other games that they actually feature information on. I'm not affiliated with GamePress whatsoever, but I use their site literally all the time. So let's go ahead and let's get into some of the sync pairs that they have data mined for us. So the first one that we're going to be looking at, which is probably the one that everybody's going to be the most excited for, we have Blue and Pidgeot. So not only do we have Blue and Pidgeot, but we have Blue and Mega Pidgeot. So I will go ahead and tell you that between like looking at max stats, Mega Pidgeot is of course better there, but basically they're going to be the same Pokemon. So they have the same moves, whether it's evolved into Mega Pidgeot or not. It's going to have Air Slash, X Special Attack, Air Cutter, and Smell You Later. And then we also do have World Swallowing Hurricane, and then we do have
Acuity.
We do have Acuity, which is going to prevent our accuracy from being lower. So since we're basically going to be the same in terms of move and all that, let's just go ahead and look at Mega Pidgeot here. So one of the first things that we need to point out is that we are going to become the #1 special attacker in the game. So we do have the top special attack. And well, saying that we're going to be the top special attacker in the game might be a little forward on this, but basically having the highest special attack stat in the game does set us up to be one of the best special attackers in the game. So we do have a little bit of a kit to work with, and I kind of think that depending on the team that you build around Mega Pidgeot kind of makes or breaks Mega Pidgeot in my opinion. So let's take a look. We do have Air Cutter here, critical hits, just basically it's gonna be easier to land criticals there. Flying move for 51 damage at max power, that's not too bad. X Special Attack, which is always good because we are special attack oriented. Having something to increase our special attack is gonna immensely help with that. Then we do have Hurricane. So Hurricane is kind of where you start to see the kit that Mega Pidgeot brings to a team. You can see it is a flying type move. It is special, which works out for us 151 damage at max level, which is great. And then we do have a 70 on the accuracy. It does cost 3 bars. It only hits one opponent. And you can see that it never misses when the weather is rainy. So we kind of talked about this. Well, I don't know if you guys have seen that video yet, but I mentioned it in one of the videos that's coming out around the same time that this video does, where I thought that it would be interesting to build out a team that uses the weather function, and we're going to see a lot of the weather kind of stuff in today's video across a bunch of these Pokemon. So Mega Pidgeot highly benefits if the weather is rainy, so pairing it with Winona and Pelipper is going to be a great move, and I think that's kind of one of the small little gimmicks that goes along with Mega Pidgeot, at least here. Smell You Later raises the user's evasiveness, accuracy, and critical hit rate, so that's a-okay. 2 uses there, which is just fine. Now, World Swallowing Hurricane, 192 on the damage, become Mega Pidgeot. So I'd say that's average, but the fact that we become Mega Pidgeot really does like seal the deal for it. Like that's honestly the reason that we're using it. It's not really because of the damage. Hopefully becoming Mega Pidgeot gives you more benefit than actually just, you know, having a base power of 192 on your sync move. And having used Karen and Houndoom, having something that, you know, Mega Evolves is so much more beneficial than just having one move being the sync move that's just super damaging. Mega Evolving is just kind of the bread and butter there. And Acuity here, accuracy cannot be lowered. That's perfectly fine. So we also do have Haste, which speed cannot be lowered, so that makes it a little bit better on top of that. So I definitely think that most people are going to be more hyped for Blue with Mega Pidgeot more than anyone else. If we actually drill down into the trainer here, you can see that Blue is going to be a 5-star trainer. So, but we do know based on the leaks that we are going to get an entire banner dedicated to him where he will have a slightly increased pull rate, which is not too bad. Now you can see we do have the flying type with rock type weakness, which that's a-okay. So everything is lining up pretty well for Blue. I do think that you're going to get the most benefit out of him using him with like Winona, or basically anything that also benefits from having like a rainy type weather. If it can make the weather rainy, then that's automatically going to pair really well with Blue. And I think honestly that's kind of, I mean, depending on which way you look at it, it could be a hindrance because that's kind of his gimmick and he needs that to really like be at his best because of Hurricane. With only a 70 accuracy, that's kind of low, but it's not horrible. So I don't know. Depending on which way you look at it, it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. So next, moving on, we do have Hilbert and Oshawott. So Oshawott is definitely an interesting Pokemon here. If we click over, we can see that Hilbert here is going to be a 5-star trainer. And we are going to be a water type with an electric type weakness. All that's pretty standard there. So looking at our stats, these are actually pretty respectable. We do have an insanely high physical defense, which is actually really good. Coupled with our HP being really high, it does actually make us 5th in terms of bulk. Our special defense is kind of up there. I mean, only pulling in at 9th, so it's not quite as impressive as the physical defense there, but still actually pretty good. 5th in bulk is nothing to laugh at because we've also noticed that in the data mining that there are going to be evolutions to certain Pokemon on the way. We don't necessarily know when they're coming, but I feel like that's going to be DNA's retaliation to power creep, because if we look back at Blue, Blue now with his stats at max actually becomes the highest stat product Pokemon in the game with Mega Pidgeot. So there's already going to be a little bit of power creep going on, and that's just kind of natural with a game like this, so it's not super surprising. But I feel like making these basic Pokemon super good, like especially Brendan with Trico, that's going to be a huge player once he is able to evolve all the way into Sceptile. So I feel like that's almost kind of like their long-term play in terms of the power creep, but Oshawott here is kind of, I think, falling in that same category. So we do have Aqua Tail, X-Speed all in this together, which is actually a really interesting move. The lower the user's HP is, the more this move raises the attack of all allied sync pairs. So I think that right there is going to be really good, because if you can throw this on a team with a bunch of physical attackers, he's going to be one of the better supports in terms of raising up that attack stat. So maybe throwing him in terms of Oshawott with possibly Superior and Lucario, or Pinsir, or Infernape, or, well, Infernape not so much, maybe Lycanroc. Just in general, things that have really high physical attack are just going to really benefit from this one, especially if you're getting hit with a lot of things that are kind of an AoE type of effect, because Superior is going to be a targeted first, of course, unless, you know, Oshawott ends up being the higher ranked bulk character on your team. I still think that's a pretty great move, and the fact that it targets all allies is even better. And then we do have Waterfall there. Water Sink Impact, you know, just 240 damage, no additional effect. That's already been in there. Impervious is quite interesting because stats cannot be lowered. That's actually really cool, considering that we are going to be able to raise our own attack. We do have X speed, which will help our speed out. Not as cool as, you know, protecting maybe everyone on your team's stats, but still, it's a nice. I actually really like that passive. I think that's the only passive that I've unlocked so far, so really cool there. Next, we move on to Lyra and Meganium. So Meganium is actually one of my favorite Pokemon. I'm a sucker for Gen 2 in general. So if we go over to Lyra here, we can see she is going to be a 5-star. We are going to be grass type with a fire type weakness and the support role, of course. Moving on to our stats here, you can see we are going to be rank 1 in terms of HP, so that's actually a pretty big deal. With our regular defense and our special defense, we're not like amazing, especially in defense. That's actually quite low. Special defense is decent, but coupled with the high HP stat, we are bringing in at least rank 6, so we're going to be just behind Oshawott actually, which isn't horrible. That's actually not too bad. So we do have Energy Ball, which is old. We do have Dire Hit All, which is old. Sunny Side Up though. So it raises the attack, special attack, and speed of all allied sync pairs, sharply raises them if the weather is sunny. So there are a couple of Pokemon already in the game that make the weather sunny. Ponyta is the one that comes to mind off the top of my head. And that's actually really cool. So we do get a even bigger buff on 3 of our stats if the weather is sunny. So that would be a really nice addition to have, you know, Blaine on your team with Lyra. I think that's actually really cool. We do have Light Screen here, which reduces special damage done to the allied field of play. So basically throwing up a light screen in front of your entire team. That's actually pretty interesting too, because Pokemon that automatically lower their special defense, what is it? I think Lycanroc does it, and I'm pretty sure Close Combat lowers defense and special defense. So it's kind of an interesting play here if you can throw Light Screen up and kind of protect a little bit of those basically those debuffers against themselves, those self-saboteurs on their special defense. I think that's a really interesting play there. It does cost 3, so it is quite costly, but I mean, it's still a very interesting play. Moving on to the sync move, we do have Heart of Gold Leaf Storm. So that's such a cool name. Basically 240 attack. It's grass, special, nothing super interesting there. The more the user stats are raised though, the greater the power of this move. So it is a special move, and our special attack is of course higher than our regular attack, so that does work out in our favor there. But there again, we're not really like hugely attack oriented here. Energy Ball isn't amazing on attack, and we don't really have any other attacking moves, so we literally are fitting that support role as best as I can imagine here. Dire Hit All actually is going to be really good, coupled with, you know, the fact that if we put it on a team with like Lucario or something like that. Honestly, Sunny Side Up being attack and special attack kind of gives the Meganium a lot of flex, because it can be in a physical attack oriented team or a special attack oriented team, which I think is really, really cool. Plus, coupling it with something that can make the weather sunny will just make it that much better. Which, like I said, with Mega Pidgeot, depending on how you view that, it could be a benefit or more of a hindrance, but either way. And our passive here is Solar Shield, which is completely new. The Pokemon is not affected by status conditions when the weather is sunny. So there again, being in the sunny weather condition is gonna make it that much better for Meganium. Next, we actually move on to Sharon and Stoutland here. This freaking dog, it's so freaking hilarious. Looking at Sharon here, you can see it's gonna be a 5-star, and going down we do have normal and fighting type. Of course, we are going to be a support type here as well. Looking at our max stats, not too bad. Defense is actually ranking in pretty well, 4th out of overall. HP is actually pretty good, and with our regular defense, special defense, it does make us 8th in rank in bulk, which isn't completely horrible. We're just kind of working our way down the ranks from what we started with, so that's not too bad though. So moving on to our moves, we do have Facade, which is a new move. Its power is doubled when the user is poisoned, badly poisoned, paralyzed, or burned. Ignores lowered attack from burns. So that's kind of interesting. If we're burned ourselves, it ignores the fact that we're going to have a lower attack. But its power is actually going to be doubled if the opponent has a special condition, including the ones in that list. So also kind of interesting. 56 power isn't super great, but that's, something to work with. Full heal we've seen before. Apply Yourself, though, increases the move gauge of all allied sync pairs by 2. Makes all allied sync pairs gradually heal themselves. So that is actually really interesting. The fact that we get not only move gauge replenish, but we actually get a gradual heal is actually really cool. So I could see possibly Stoutland being used possibly with Superior in kind of a tag team of, you know, an immense amount of move gauge replenish, plus we get a little bit of heal on most of our sync pairs using Apply Yourself. I think that would be a really cool combo. And then we do also have Crunch, which is also new to the game. Has a small chance of lowering the target's defense. 118 power is actually pretty good there. So not too bad. In our sync move area, we do have Fundamental Takedown, which of course is new. Its power increases if the user is affected by a status condition, so that's not too bad. 300 base power is of course amazing. And then our passive, we do have Outrun 4, which quickly charges the move gauge when the Pokemon is affected by a status condition. So I guess that's okay. I mean, you kind of have to be in an awkward position to get the benefit out of that passive, so I'm not a huge fan of that, but I guess, you know, when your pants are down, you're kind of in a better situation for it. Moving on here, we do have Acerola and Palisand. So if we go over to Acerola here, we can see she is a 5-star. And coming back over here, we do see that Palisand is a ghost, but it is weak to ice. So I thought this was really interesting. We have a situation where our type doesn't correspond directly with the weakness. The original typing of Palisand completely makes sense here. Ghost and sand. The original typing of Palisand makes complete sense here. Ghost and ground. But it doesn't quite make sense if you're, like, if this was your first Pokemon game ever, you might think, oh, well, all ghosts must be weak to ice. Either way, I thought that was a really cool thing. We do have our tech roll, which is new. So moving into our stats here, you can see nothing really like stands out as amazing, which honestly, as a tech roll, I wouldn't expect it to. Defense is actually pretty good. Special defense is okay. Rank is for bulk, you know, it's not super great, but okay. And our attacks are a little low. Our HP is pretty average. I don't know, it's not screaming like anything outstanding. But as a tech, that's not really what we're there for. So if we look at our moves here, we do have a lot of status inflicting things here. So Astonish here, a ghost type move, physical for 14 damage. Horrible on the power there. Only targets one opponent, but has a moderate chance of making the target flinch. So that's kind of cool, I guess. We do have X defense, which is nothing new. Sandstorm, which is going to cause a sandstorm, which we do have, I think. We do. Tyranitar has Sand Fortress, and we also have Sand Fortress, so that actually benefits at least ourselves and Tyranitar there. We do have over here, which I think is kind of interesting, makes opponents focus their attacks on the user, makes the user gradually heal itself. So you basically only have one use of this, but you can basically force the entire other team to target you, which is interesting. I'm trying to think of a way, like maybe you could like sacrifice Palisand by knowing that the opponent is going to be using their sync move, and then you like throw out like over here and you make them target your Palisand instead of your tank. Like, okay, maybe if you really wanted to save your tank like that, I guess. Our sync move here is Never Ending Royal Nightmare, which this was actually hinted at on Twitter. So the more the user's defense has been raised, the greater the power of the move. 240 base damage, you know, physical attack, ghost type, oh, that's a-okay. And Sand Fortress here, stats cannot be lowered in a sandstorm. So, I don't know, that one, Palisand's kind of like, okay, like in the middle, like what? Like nothing really like jumps out as amazing, but it doesn't necessarily have to, I guess. I mean, for a 5-star, I would be kind of like, I'm honestly going to be a little disappointed if I get Palisand at this point. I don't see a whole lot of use cases for my playstyle, at least, for Palisand to be exciting, but that's just me. Next, we do have Koga and Crobat. So Koga here, he is a 4-star. They're doing my man a little bit of disservice there, but that's all right. We do have Crobat, which here again, poison type this time with an electric type weakness. So it kind of goes back to that almost mismatch thing, but in the main series games that makes complete sense. We do have a tech roll here again, same as Palisand. But this time, looking at our base stats, I mean, here again, nothing's like screaming like insane to me. Like it's okay. And our speed is our best, you know, stat here, which is interesting to say the least. But I mean, here again, nothing really like screams amazing to me. We're kind of below average on HP. We're decent in attack. We're decent in defense. We're a little bit better in special attack. Our special defense is actually pretty freaking good. But then that's about it. Like, I don't know, it's almost like above average if we average all that together. But either way, moving on to our moves. Poison Fang, which if I'm not mistaken is new at this point, has a good chance of leaving the target badly poisoned. I like that. I'm a big fan of poison types, so 40 base damage for a physical attack, that's okay. It does cost 2, which is kind of underwhelming. I wish it only costed 1 for just that, you know, little bit of damage. But I guess badly poisoned does make a little bit more of a warrant for that 2 bar there. X speed, nothing new. Venoshock, which is new, its power is doubled if the target is poisoned or badly poisoned. So that's actually pretty good because you can just use Poison Fang, wait till they're badly poisoned if by chance you don't get the good chance on the first go around, and then do Venoshock here for the same amount of bar. You get a little bit more damage, and then it's doubled whenever the opponent is badly poisoned. So not bad. Poisoned or badly poisoned is an important distinction there. Move Like a Shadow here, we do have sharply raises the user's evasiveness, raises the user's critical hit rate as well, so that's actually not too bad. Sync move, we do have Modern Ninja Sludge Bomb, which is an interesting name to say the least. Its power increases if the target is poisoned or badly poisoned. That's a-okay. It's a special type move, and so Poison Fang being physical, Venoshock being special. I mean, we are gonna have a little bit, I guess. Our attack stats are going to be the same between the two, but like the lines kind of make it a little bit misleading. Like it seems like our attack stat is going to be better than our special attack stat, but they're literally the exact same numbers. So either way, that's okay. It's good that they're splitting them, and I'm completely fine that this is a special move. No problem there. We do have haste as our passive there, so overall Koga is decent. I honestly, like, giving the kit that he has, I don't think I would have been happy if he was a 5-star either. Just like with Acerola and Palisand, I'm just not really feeling the whole 5-star right here. That's just a little bit overboard for that kit for me. Next, moving on, we do have Viola and Surskit. So this is actually a very interesting one because Surskit actually will evolve into Masquerain. So if we go down, you can see Sync Move. We do have Bug Sync Beam here. This is basically the only distinction between the two. Once we get into Masquerain, it will be a different Sync Move, which actually coincides with Silverwind, if I can remember correctly. So let's actually look at Viola here. You can see she is a 4-star, which is okay. That's actually not too bad. Let's actually go over into Masquerain. For some reason, I could not get, I could not find Surskit in the Pokemon list or anything on here. I had to like literally search for it by URL. Either way, so Masquerain here, bug and rock type, which is completely fine. Weak to rock type, not a bug and rock. It's going to be weak to rock. Looking at our stats here, some decent C's here. Defense is 9th. And that's not too bad. HP is a little underwhelming. Special defense is actually pretty decent, and that does make up for a little bit of our bulk rating there. Other than that, everything's kind of meh. Attack is really low. Special attack is not great, and speed is, you know, a little bit better than average. But as a tech, like I said, we're not really, you know, like supposed to excel in either one of those. So we're kind of supposed to be, in terms of stats, in my opinion, the way I see it, we should be kind of middle of the road anyway. So moving into our moves here, we do have Infestation, which is new if I'm not mistaken. Leaves the target trapped, which is a-okay. It does target one opponent. That's nice. X speed here sharply raises the user speed. That's nothing new. Struggle Bug, though, very interesting. it's targeting all of the opponents, and it's lowering the special attack of all of your opponents. 36 base damage, which isn't amazing by any means. They're both special attacks, which is a-okay. If I'm not mistaken, that was the higher of the two. Yeah, 191 versus 108, so that works out. Then we have Just Fantastic. Sharply raises the user's special defense and makes the user gradually heal itself. So I'm really liking the addition of healing ourselves here. I think that's really, really cool. The fact that we're raising our special defense is great because, as you can see, we're already really good in it. Our defense is great, but like I said, the bars kind of make that a little bit more misleading, but either way, that makes complete sense there. Now into the sync move, we do have Silver Wind Victory Shot, which is really cool. I've always been a fan of Silver Wind, especially in Pokemon Go. I love it. Its power increases if the target is trapped, so that kind of goes along with Infestation there. And it's a 240 on the power, special, you know, everything kind of matches up there. And then for our passes, we do have Terrify 1, which lowers the attack of all opposing sync pairs when the Pokemon enters battle. So pretty much like, what is it, Intimidation in the main series games? So that actually makes good. I kind of like that. Automatically lowering the attack as soon as the battle starts is actually really, really cool. Now the last one that we're going to talk about today, holy cow, is Nonu and Persian. So it is a Alolan Persian for what it's worth. If we look at Nonu here, we can see we are a 4-star, which is a-okay. And Alolan Persian going to be a dark type with a weakness to bug, which is fine. We are tech here, so we shouldn't expect too much out of our stats. Kind of below average on HP, middle of the road in attack. Defense is actually pretty good. Special defense not hitting on a whole lot. Special attack definitely not too high. Speed is actually pretty decent, and our bulk is, you know, a little bit better than average there. But looking into our moves here, we do have Bite, which has a moderate chance of making the target flinch. That's actually not too bad for 2 bars. 50 base damage, physical attack. So we're really looking here, so our physical attack is way higher than our special attack, so we are looking for more physical moves here. We do have X Speed, which is nothing new. Screech, which is interesting, sharply lowers the target's defense. 2 bars for that as well. I mean, I guess because it sharply lowers it, it'd be okay at 2. I don't really find a whole lot of utility in that. Possibly, actually, I could see that maybe working out with like a highly physical attack oriented team. Maybe that would actually do pretty good. Just warming up here, sharply raises the user's evasiveness, ensure that the user's next attack will be a critical hit. So that's actually not too bad, but honestly the only attack that we have here is Bite, unless we look at our sync move, Dark Authority, Black Hole Eclipse. Holy cow, what a name. Its power increases if the target is flinching. It already has 240 base with physical, so it's kind of like a Pokemon in itself, which here again, depending on how you look at that, it could be good. If you like a Pokemon to be able to stand on its own legs, then, you know, Nonu and Alolan Persian are going to be fine at that. But if you're looking for more of a synergetic type Pokemon, I don't think that Persian really lives up to that. Bite, use it to make the opponent start to flinch. Screech, use it to lower the defense. Just warming up, use it to raise your evasiveness, and then guarantee that your sync move becomes a critical hit, which gets its power increased by flinching. So as a package on its own, it's kind of good. It's kind of good to stand on its own, but outside of that, like synergetically, it's not hitting on a whole lot. Critical Sting 1, when a critical hit lands, raises the chance of the making the target flinch, become confused, or become trapped with the additional effect of the move. So the passive skill literally just increases our chance of making the target flinch, which kind of, like I said, goes along with our kind of generic self-centered self there. So all in all, that's actually pretty interesting. We have quite a few new Pokemon to look at, and I'm highly interested to know which of these Pokemon are you most excited for. I will probably expect a ton of I like blue the most. Honestly, out of all of these, I'm probably more excited for Lyra than any of them, just because I'm a bigger fan of, you know, Gen 2 and Meganium. I really like Meganium. I'm honestly pretty surprised with Masquerain. I would be actually pretty excited to pull a Masquerain myself, but You know, let me know what you guys think down below. This is actually a pretty interesting surprise to get all these Pokemon leaked from the data mining here, but if DNA wants to just hand over the envelope, it'd be a lot easier than, you know, making all these guys go through the data mining. I do have to actually give a huge shout out and thanks to all the people that are data mining this game, because without that, of course, this video couldn't have been brought up as quickly as it was. But that is actually going to be it for today, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for watching. I will go ahead and roll those ending credits for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Always remember that if you like to like videos, you could do that, but if you don't, you could be that guy. Otherwise, let me know what you have to say down in the comments below about the video. I do highly appreciate you guys watching. If you guys want to support me in any way, there are several links down in the description for Patreon, joining the community here on YouTube, or even just directly PayPal if that's your thing. I greatly appreciate everyone's name that's on screen, as you guys have showed some sort of support outside of just viewing the videos, and I thank you guys. You don't understand from the bottom of my heart. So until our next video, guys, I will catch you then.